Okay, hi. So it's been so long since I made any tutorials. This might be total shit and it's gonna be so quick. But anyway, so first of all, yes, I'm still using FL9. It's the most aesthetic shit ever. If you disagree, your opinion is different from mine. And here, I'm just gonna let you listen from here to here, and I've muted the clean vocals because they sound like ass. I'm just gonna stop it there because obviously this part isn't finished, and yeah, so this entire track is obviously not mastered or anything, so yeah. But anyway, so the drums first, just themselves. You should always have some kick and snare on the piano roll of the snare, I guess, but not necessarily on the piano roll, but just on the pattern. Some really simple. And this one has a shit ton of effects, well, only sumo and cyanide. Uh, yeah. So have something that gives it movement, because that just sounds like ass. Instantly better, because this is a background snare. The real snare is here on the sound font. It doesn't matter if it's kind of monotonous, because this is not the focus of the thing. Like, what you will hear, what you will focus on is the high-end thing, is most likely the cymbals. So have at least two sound fonts, one only for the cymbals, or maybe you could add something else there too. Doesn't really matter, but just have one that's for whatever the main drums, which by itself sounds like this. So yeah, the other one has just more cymbals, because that adds movement, and movement is the key thing when you want to make it realistic sounding. And yeah, the loops are just sped up with the slice map setting here, and normalized, always normalized if you do this kind of a lo-fi metal thing, and use loops. So they sound like, and they just have some distortion, which is, I should say, a lot of distortion. Download the MDA plugins, they're great, they're free, they're just perfect for everything. And then parametric EQ, because EQ is always important, and just I high pass everything, literally, like everything. And sound goodizer, because it makes everything sound good. Well, it doesn't make everything sound good, but it doesn't hurt. Sometimes it might hurt, but in this case it doesn't. So anyway, yeah, that's that. These just add some, like, because without it, it sounds fine. But they again add movement, and they add some kind of texture in the thing, because it makes it thicker. And then, so if you take anything out of these drums, have snare and kick on the pattern thingy, and then have sound fonts that just make it like, make those the main drums, and then have some loops or samples on the playlist, which you process with shit tons of distortion and EQ, and make them sound muffled and shit like that. If you go for this kind of lo-fi thing, which this video is about, so if you're watching this, you probably want to go for that kind of thing. Anyway, so yeah, the guitars just sound like ass, like literally. I say everything sounds like ass, but like. With this kind of music, you don't have to worry too much about how everything sounds together. I mean, obviously you do, but I mean individually. How everything sounds individually is not so important. These obviously don't go too well together, but it doesn't matter. And you can reuse recordings. These are all recordings I've used before in different songs. They're just chopped up differently, and the bass is actually a guitar tuned down an octave and slowed down further. And for the guitars, there's just a little bit of EQ, not really anything here, but just high pass and low pass, and then delay just a little, and sound goodizer, and then here a shit ton of weird EQ, just yeah, and then delay, reverb, and sound goodizer again on this one. This is use samples, different kinds of samples that you would use in electronic music. Add those in the background if you want. Something that kind of adds more to it. It's probably not even very noticeable, but there's this. Originally it was a bass drum, but I've just processed it in some way. I don't remember. This was something I did years ago, so I don't remember. I guess it just has reverb and some other things. But anyway, so the vocals, obviously this is something I can't really help much with because my vocals sound like absolute shit. So, but anyway, so without like just the vocals. I'm just gonna, there's no point in, because you heard those before. So just high passed and then delay, not too much, but a little bit. And then have something just changed color somewhere in my line of sight, in the background somewhere. Not on the screen, but like somewhere in my room. Doesn't matter, like some light. But anyway, hopefully nothing big. Anyway, so reverb, sound goodizer, yeah, these are clean vocals here. Like I said, I muted them. They sound like absolute shit. So I'm gonna mute those again. Yeah, so on the bass, if I didn't go over it already, just a little bit of high pass filtering, because like I said, I use it on everything. The distortion, again, this, I find this the best, the MB8 thingy on the MDA combo. The other settings are great too on this side of the thingy. Like radio is not good on bass, but MB1 and MB8 and all this for that, those are the best. But MB8 here is the best, I think, for this. And the sound goodizer makes a huge difference. It just brings the bass out. And like I probably said, this is just a guitar tuned down an octave and slowed down further. Like I already said that, but whatever. Yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, or if you found it useful, I guess like, maybe subscribe, but I'm not going to be making more tutorials on these kind of things, except if you want me to. If you've listened to my shit and you want to know how I did something, ask, maybe I'll make a fucking tutorial on that too, I don't know. But yeah, hopefully you find this useful. And the world needs more lo-fi metal, so get making.